Okie dokie. Hi everybody, I'm Sable Dragon Rook, you can call me Sable. And today we're going to tackle what I would argue is the hardest trophy in the game to get, Call of Nature, for catching Trico pooping. A lot of people get this on accident and don't realize how lucky they are, but if you're watching this video, that's probably unfortunately not you. I've done a ton of research over the years on how to make this trophy work, and I'm considered the community resident Trico poop expert. I don't know if that's a compliment. So I'm going to show you everything I know, but in the end, all we can do is increase our chances as much as possible and then pray. And it sucks, and I won't pretend it doesn't. So before we start, there are a few important things to keep in mind about how Trico's AI works, and this information is important because it'll help you understand what your Trico is doing and how to encourage him to poop. So I'm going to be talking for a hot minute. First, we need to know that from the game's code, Trico needs at least 30 minutes in order to poop. So if you're playing for the first 30 minutes on New Game Plus, whatever, there's no chance. There's some random element to it. We don't really know what it means. There's a variable called rand100. And we also know that you need to not be looking at him for at least 3 seconds. So to clarify, this means that the boy needs to not be looking at him, as in his face. The camera can and should still be looking at him so that you don't miss the trophy, because you need to be looking at Trico in order to get Call of Nature. If you find his poop, like, that's not enough. Next, we need to understand how Trico's AI works. In order to poop, Trico needs to be idle on a flat surface. This means there is nothing he's currently paying attention to, but every primary object in a room, like a chain or a door or whatever, has an attention value, or a number that represents how interested Trico is in it. So the boy is always really high. Usually only things like armors or barrels or whatever are going to be higher. So we need to get everything out of the room that Trico is going to just not ignore so that we can help him idle. That means that if he's like paying attention to barrels or whatever, you need to give him those barrels to get rid of that attention value item. The problem with this is that Trico can sometimes also be stubborn. So for whatever reason, sometimes he just pays attention to the boy and refuses to idle. You can tell he's doing this if he looks at you, cocks his head, and then repeats that process without ever looking around or leaving. If that's the case, you're a no-go for poops, and you need to move somewhere else, usually just within the room. Finally, if you see poop, do not move, like immediately when you see it. If you didn't get the trophy, of course. Poop is tied to a checkpoint, so if you got it once during that checkpoint, you can get it again as long as you don't trigger the next checkpoint. So you see it, you didn't get the trophy, don't like run over and be like, oh, there it is. Just see it, acknowledge you didn't get the trophy, reset the checkpoint. Let me run you through all the places I'm aware of where Trico can and has pooped. If you've encountered poop somewhere else, please let me know. I'm always keeping updated information on this giant chicken dog's bowel habits. Yay. So let me guide you through. Oh hey, it's me again. I realized, upon watching this back, that I forgot to include the very important information in the intro that you should be giving Trico all of the barrels during this entire run. We're not entirely sure if it's because of the barrels themselves or just because Trico has to slow down in order to eat them that he's more likely to poop, but statistically, according to all of the runs that we've done, he is more likely to poop in an all barrels run. So take the time, give him the barrels, just keep an eye on him in the background because that gives him more to think about and it gives him more opportunities to idle and to hopefully poop. Okay, so first place I want to talk about in terms of poop, I know that it's difficult to see where I am. This is a big wall. We were just on the other side. We exploded a door there and then came through this little tunnel. This is right at the beginning of the game after you knock down the pillar and walk across and Trico has to jump up to you. You'll probably recognize what it is here in just a second. We pop out here. You know, Trico's wandering around looking at the White Tower, which he always does. It's somewhere around here. And then he'll end up coming over here, and you get up onto his head, and he takes you over this wall. This is the U-wall area. It's not as common to get poop here, but I have seen people get poop here, so it's kind of an honorable mention, worth checking out while you're here. Just give Trico some time to wander around. make sure throughout all of these poop things that you're not calling him. We don't want him to be paying attention to us, right? And so if we call him, he's going to be paying attention to us. He's going to be like, oh, what's the deal? And he'll come over, which kind of interrupts whatever it is he's doing. And also, of course, as you're running around, try to just be cognizant of where the boy's face is. We want to kind of be running away from him when possible so that technically we're not looking at him. People who have gotten him to poop have done so right about here, just as he's walking up right like this in that small little section. So I think it can happen just about anywhere out here, but you can choose whether you want to spend time out here or not. Like I said, I haven't seen it super commonly here, so I personally would spend a lot more time at some of the places on the right hand side, which we'll cover here in just a second. Okay, next location that we want to check for poop. Again, another fairly rare one, so your choice whether you want to spend a ton of time here. We're currently in this section, you know, where we shimmy along the wall. Right before the first cage, it's just a couple steps from where you just were for the previous poop attempt. Trico is behind a door to my left. Alright, we're going to open that up for him. That's a checkpoint if you want to reset, or you can let the door open. Again, I wouldn't really call him. And just see if you can get him wandering down this hallway. Back and forth down this hallway. So this angle that I'm at now is a good example of how to try to prompt poops. I'm facing away from him, but it's very easy for the camera to be looking at him, which is great. Once he gets close like this, end up behind him. And all the way down. Back and forth and back and forth. There needs to be a distance of at least 10 meters in order for Trico to be prompted to poop. But we're not entirely sure how that's measured, because some people have gotten poops while they're just sitting on Trico's head. So Trico is being very attentive to me. This doesn't necessarily look favorable, but, you know, this is Trico, who knows. We'll do this one more time. And this is just for example purposes, obviously. If you're trying to grind this out, you should be doing this for a while, not just like 3 runs up and down the hallway. But again, this is a fairly rare place, so I would still recommend doing some of the ones on the right-hand side that we will get to before you dedicate all your time to doing it right here. Alright, welcome back. It's been like 2 seconds for you, but for me it's been a little while. We're here now. We got commands through here, and we just came out. We hit this lever to let Trico out as well, and now we are heading across the way here, across this bridge, and this will be the next place that we will try for poop. This one is actually fairly decent. I would recommend, if you're willing to rubber band your controller, or just idle for a long time, but with your hands on the controller, this is a pretty decent place. So Trico is standing over here at this door that is currently not open. Don't go and open it, because technically you can open it and then come back through here. So we got these vines to the left of the door. We are going to go up on these vines. Up to right about here. Just a little bit to the right of this dark spot. And L1, look at Trico. You can see that he's over there. This puts the boy's face up against a wall, so he's not looking at Trico, but, you know, we still have the camera on Trico. Trico has something to do, which is he's going to start scratching at this door. And then in between scratching at the door and looking at the boy, he'll be idling. So we want him to keep going in this circle, scratch the door, stop, look at the boy, stop, go back to the door. Each time he does that, he's going to be idling in between, and that's a chance for poop. So, typically, you just rubber band your controller so that the camera is stuck like this, which is directly right on the right joystick. Problem with this, you need to be really careful when you rubber band, because it's very easy to have it be not quite right. Like, for instance, right now, it seems like it's going completely right, but you may notice that there's actually just a little bit of drift. And so if you walk away for multiple hours, you'll come back with it like looking like this, right? Or looking down at the floor. And that can be unfortunate because you can get Trico to poop over there, but not get the trophy because the camera is too far in one direction to actually look. So, best way to do this, you know, rubber band your controller. And if you're not familiar what that means, it means literally put a rubber band around your joystick so that it's pulling it for you, and then you set it down. Come check on it every half an hour, give it a little adjustment if it needs it, and just leave Trico here. I would recommend about 4 hours as your kind of set point to see whether Trico is going to poop here. Some people have left it for like 3 days, and then eventually, you know, he pooped. So it's up to you how long you want to sit and idle here before trying some of the other spots. But this is a pretty decent one just because you don't have to actually be monitoring Trico. You can be doing something else. If you choose to move on, keep going. I'll keep showing you some more places. But this is one of the more favorable ones. Alright everyone, we are now in the second combat room after commands. In the previous suggestion for poop, you were just outside this door, trying to hang on to the vines and look over at Trico. So now we're in here. This is the room where there were 6 armors kind of turtled into the ground with the light coming out of their faces. And you can get Trico to just kind of walk back and forth like this. I've only seen one person report that they've gotten poop here, so we know it's possible, and I thought it would be remiss of me not to mention it at all. But I've certainly never gotten it here, and I would definitely recommend trying one of the other places, these hot spots that I'm going to continue to mention, instead of spending too much time here, so you can decide kind of how much you want to dedicate to this room before moving on to some of the others. Alright, once again, we are going to look at a new poop location. This one is actually fairly favorable, so I would recommend spending some time here. This is, as you can see, right after we prop the door up with this axle, or whatever it is that you want to call it, that we push underneath the door. It could be so hard to get Trico up here sometimes. Alright, so there's 2 things that we can do. First of all, when you come up here, don't touch these helmets. These helmets are the solution to the puzzle, obviously. We're gonna just step forward and trigger this cutscene. So we want to leave these eyes intact. And there's 2 ways that we can do this. We don't want to touch the helmets because we don't want to suggest to the game that we know the solution to this puzzle. The first way that I would recommend, I think that this way is a little bit better than the second way I'm going to show you. Come back into this pool of water, which is on the other side of the eyes. Jam the boy's face in between these 2, I don't know, wall thingies. Spin the camera around so it's right in front of the boy. He'll probably pop in and out of existence, you can see. And we're looking at Trico. This is going to be a perfect opportunity. You can see Trico is alternating between something with a high attention value, which is the eyes, and trying to make progress because he knows that progress is up on top of the ledge that we're standing under. Every time he goes through this cycle, there is a brief moment where he idles, and that means that that's an opportunity for him to poop. A lot of people get poop here, which is why I would recommend that you just leave it idling like this for a little while. However, if this position doesn't seem to be working for you, you can go back over here to this corner. You're going to have to watch this one a little bit more carefully. Jam yourself into this corner, right in the seam or like the crook of this pillar. And then L1 look at Trico. This one, like I said, requires a little bit more active effort because you have to be looking at Trico. You don't technically have to be holding L1, but you do need to be paying attention because every now and then Trico will notice you instead of the ledge that he's currently looking at, and that will cause him to spin a little bit to turn and look at you. And that can kind of get him stuck in a weird loop where his butt is jammed into the far wall, such that, see, he's looking at me now. And there's his butt, right? And sometimes he can't get out of this position because he'll start spinning around and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes he gets stuck here, and then he's just like permanently staring at the boy, and he's not idling anymore. So just keep an eye on him. If it seems like he's stuck, just go ahead and leave this corner. Run back over to here. And that should hopefully get him going again. You see now he's in kind of a different position. and he's having a hard time. This is his little stucky, you know. He fixed it himself, thankfully, this time around. If you really, really can't get him unstuck, instead of breaking the eyes, go down here to the edge of this and just hang for a second. Gotta love this camera, right? Trico will come down to see what your deal is. And that will help him to spin around and kind of get unstuck like that. So any of these potential ways to do this could get you poop. There have been multiple poops here for a lot of people. Some people actually think that the solution to this puzzle is to wait for Trico to poop and then throw the poops into the eyeballs. So that should tell you how common it is to get it here. That doesn't mean you're going to get it here, but it's definitely worth trying to grind it out here. So spend some time here, let him idle, see if you happen to get lucky. All right, another really quick location that we can try. Right after you have broken the eyes, which is the same place we were just standing, if you just leave Trico alone, eventually he will stop being upset at the eyes. He'll sniff one for a little while. And then if you come back here, Trico will, as you can see, kind of just alternate between, he knows that he wants to go up there, he wants to spin around and look at you and see where you are. So you can let him go up there, that's fine. Once he steps kind of up on top of there, some people have gotten him to poop on that upper ledge. Once he's been outside for a second and you can no longer see him, feel free to call him. Eventually that'll cause him to spin back around and he'll come and visit you again. And you can just kind of keep repeating that cycle for a little bit if you like. It can be a little bit tough to get poop in this location, or rather to get the trophy, because it's possible for Trico to poop like right now where you can't see him. And so the trophy doesn't necessarily trigger even though he has pooped. And it'll be locked to this checkpoint, right? So if you go up with Trico to try to get him to poop again up there, he probably won't. So it's just kind of up to you whether you want to try to do this. If I'm trying for poop, usually don't stop to do this. But once you break the eyes, you might as well walk back here real quick and just see if Trico's going to spin around and poop real quick. And if not, you can just move on. Alright, this time we are in another really favorable poop location. In fact, I would recommend that you spend a lot of time here. This is one of the very best in the game. As you can see, Trico's just now calming down. This is the location where we encounter the two eyes, the two shields that they're carrying that look like eyes. For the first time, we came across there. We, shimmied across all these things. Please don't push me out the window, honey. So there are two ways to get poop here. Both of them work fairly often. There's a barrel in here. Just go ahead and leave Trico alone and just kind of take your time getting this barrel. Hang out in here, just have a great time. Trico is through the wall. He knows that you're in here and he's kind of watching you through the wall. But just give him some time. Zoom around every now and then and just keep an eye on him. He might poop, or he might just stand here like a goober. You can give him this barrel after a while if you feel like he's not really accomplishing anything. You can go in and out of this room if he happens to wander off and you want to follow him. Let's see if we can get this barrel out of here. Come on. Hey buddy, there you go. Alright, location number 2 in this area. We were just up here talking about this room where you can take the barrel out. And now we're going to go around the corner. And you will have, completed these fights. I have just completed them so you didn't have to watch. And we go inside. We give Trico the barrel that's in here because he can see it through the wall and that will take too much of his attention. So we want to clear this area out of anything that's going to cause him to pay attention. Anything with a high attention value. That we can. So then the 3 armors were over there. We run to the opposite side of the hall, jam yourself in between these 2 rocks. Just like we did at the double eyes, we're going to spin the camera with the boy facing in the opposite direction. We're going to look at Trico, and he's going to idle here. And this is great. This is a really, really nice setup because you can just leave. You don't have to supervise the controller. The camera's not going to spin. You just leave it like this. And Trico's going to stare at you. He might, do these scratches. He might kind of look side to side a little bit, and then he'll focus back in on you. But after a while, you will see that when he gets bored of you, because he has a degrading attention meter, so the attention meter on you is gradually going down. When that expires, he will turn around and he will go and pay attention to the window that's behind him off to the left, which is where we're supposed to proceed to next. While he's making that walk between you and the window, he has a chance to poop. And then again, he'll just keep cycling that. He'll get to the window, he'll turn around after he watches it for a little while, and he'll come back to you. And again, that's a chance to poop. So you got 2 chances up and down this hallway, and all you have to do is sit here. I would recommend sitting here for like multiple hours. This is a pretty decent place. If you want to get moving because you're bored of sitting here, you can always run, you know, down to where the armor was and then come back and go back to where the other barrel was or where you did the fight. You can just kind of zoom through these hallways if you would like. As long as Trico is out of your view, just be cognizant of where the boy is facing, where his face is, so that you don't accidentally spend the entire time looking at Trico. And hopefully this will work out for you. It's one of the more common places. If it doesn't, don't worry. I still have plenty of recommendations, but definitely spend some time here and see if you can get lucky. All right, next up for poops, we are in the Coliseum. You can see here's the catapult, here's the lever to get the catapult out from behind the grate. Excuse the music, I used a glitch to make the fight in here easier so we could just keep going. There's a couple things you can do here. Trico has a lot of opportunity to idle here. He's got basically 3 things that he's paying attention to you. It's you, the cart, and the way out, which is up there because he's trying to give you a hint. So, we can just start taking laps around the outside of the Coliseum. This is obviously the most active approach. And you do kind of need to keep the camera on Trico as he's doing other things. He'll be mostly paying attention to the catapult, but if you just keep running in circles, you'll give him some opportunity. If he starts following you, which it looks like he's gonna start doing with me, that's fine as long as he doesn't stick too close. If he ends up just going in like a perfect circle with you, just head back to the catapult and kind of stand under it for a second. That'll get him re-interested in it. And then just keep going. So that's option number 1. Option number 2. We go up, kind of toward the edge of the Coliseum. The door into the Coliseum is over there. We back ourselves up against this wall. And, you know, our favorite trick, spin the camera and let Trico just watch you. Usually, he'll just do exactly what he's doing, which is come up real close and then spin around and look at something else. This just gives him an opportunity to idle. You can leave it like this for a little while. Not super common to get poops in this manner, but Coliseum itself is kind of a hot spot, so basically anything that you can do around here to spend some extra time increases your chances. So we've got those 2 opportunities. There are 4 here, which is why we're just going to kind of do all of them all at once. So that's the 2 that are down here. You run around or you jam yourself up against that wall. Next, we have 2 up above. So I need to wait for Trico to shoot me up here. Watch, he'll slam me into the ceiling, I know it. Trico, honey. He's going to because he moved it. Buddy. Or that, you know? Trico, let's just do this right, hun. Alright? As a speedrunner, I'm used to putting that thing, like, right on the edge as much as possible. Otherwise, I would have just jammed it directly into the middle of this light. Here we go. So once we're up above, we want to open both doors. Starting with this one. But now after we open this door, this is only a brief opportunity. You can see Trico is still down here. Keep an eye on him. Face away. Even though you're on different levels, it does matter. So just keep an eye on him for that brief moment, because he can poop down there when you're not looking. And then follow him out here. Don't call if you can help it. You know, if you already have, it's whatever, but don't keep calling him. Keep an eye on him. Again, you see I'm turning away whenever I see him. Just keep an eye until he's ready to jump. Alright. If you happen to get a barrel up here, going back here, or, I'm sorry, a helmet, going back here and actually going to get this barrel can be very productive. I have had Trico poop multiple times. In the duration of time it took me to go in there, grab the barrel, and come back out. However, you see, if you try to shove yourself in here, he'll do this side-to-side head cock, which I described at the beginning of the video as an indicator that he's not going to do anything else. He's just idling. So it really is just going to get that barrel if you happen to have a helmet up here that gives you that chance for poop. So kind of all of those things together was step number 3. And then step number 4 is just run the hallways. We'll open this door to give ourselves another hallway to run down, just to, you know, keep things spicy. This is going to be our main hallway. Hit the end here, hop around to the right, keep an eye on Trico as he comes through. A lot of times, as he walks across that grate in the middle, you might catch him pooping. And if he comes towards you and he doesn't really seem interested, you know, zip through him and go down another one. If, as an example, like right now, he kind of vanishes, don't let him be gone for too long, because he could be wandering off somewhere else pooping. Hi. So don't just, you can't really like idle there, right? You kind of have to be actively keeping an eye on him for all of this. But sometimes just running back and forth is useful. Getting him to cross the grate in the middle is especially useful. For some reason, he really likes to poop like through that grate. So really, a lot of this Coliseum area, just get him running and hope for the best. I would call this a pretty decent area. Not quite the other of the top 2 that I was describing before. I wanted him to spin around on that grate, which is why I stood over there. And then we'll go down this hallway again, but vary it up. Just keep him guessing and keep him walking. And other than that, we've still got a couple places. Don't lose hope yet. And the next place that we're going to go, I would say, is the other, like, prime location. But yeah, just spend time in Coliseum. See if you can get something to happen. Go up, go down. Don't be afraid to go back down to where the catapult was. Just really keep him moving through this area and see what you can get. Welcome to the next poop location, which is like 5 feet from where you just were. Hopefully, you get poop here, because this is a really good spot. This is the second water puzzle. The one where Trico needs to lift you up using the wave from when he jumps into the water. We want to be a little careful here not to progress too far. And this is going to be a big idle location. You're going to want to dedicate some time here. So first and foremost, as you go across here, get to about where you're going to dive. And then quickly, just zoom, look at Trico. Because right when he comes up onto that island, he is very willing to poop there. Not obviously in any way guaranteed, but keep an eye on him till he starts calling you, which means now he's paying attention to you. So that's step number 1. Once we get in here, we want to go up. We'll get Trico to lift us up onto this platform. Don't pull the lever. We'll just take a look at Trico. Let's solve this puzzle, buddy. Great. Because there's a checkpoint here. So we want to make sure that we leave no stone unturned in terms of, you know, trying to get Trico to poop. You know the drill. Turn your face towards a wall. Look at Trico. So he's going to look at you for a second. He's going to swim around and be like, hey, buddy, are you going to do anything? Do you need my help? And then once he's done with that, he'll leave. And he'll go back to that island. Every time he hops up on that island, we've got a little chance for him to poop right at the bottom. So we want to let him do that. Don't bother him. Don't call him. Just let him do his thing. And hopefully his thing is poop. Sadly, you can't fully idle here. Because as you'll see, once he gets back up onto that island, assuming that he doesn't poop, he's going to cycle back around. Because his job in this room is climb up on the island, go up onto the cliff, jump off to help the human, right? So he's going to just keep doing that. That's his script. So you should stay here for a while, as long as really you can tolerate it. And every time he gets up here and he's ready to jump again, give him one call, get him to jump, and then let him go back to that island. So I want to just keep him going like that. That's step number 1. Step number 2, we're going to commit to hitting this lever. So that's going to be a checkpoint. Trico's coming back. And then again, you want to... Don't turn around, but look around quickly after you pull this lever. As he's getting up onto this island. If he's going to poop right there when you're at a distance, after pulling the lever is more likely than before pulling the lever. So that's a pretty decent chance. Obviously, you really only have that one chance. You can continue to do the cycling thing because he's still going to, you know, be up here. So if you want to keep cycling here for a little bit, feel free. Your chances are not necessarily decreased. You've triggered a new checkpoint, so if his poop is tied to the second checkpoint, you're doing yourself a service to continue to try to farm this out a little bit. But once you have worn yourself out on those two options, the option that I really, really like, and you should be pleased to hear, is another idle, like another just walk away kind of thing, is standing over here. So let me show you. We hop up here. Hi, Trico. Thank you for also being right here. And now we've got these rocks. Don't step up on the rocks. Step either in here or kind of in here, in this little crevice. And you're just going to want to stand here without stepping up on the rocks. It's right on the edge here. Let me set myself up. All right. Nope. So close. There we go. Facing away from Trico. And then, you know it, we'll spin the camera so we can look at Trico. And I'm sure you can already see what's going on here. So Trico now has 2 tasks. He wants to look at the person, and he wants to look at the cliff. And he's just going to go spin, 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 around and around, trying to do those 2 things. And as he continues to spin, sometimes on the right-hand slope, he will poop. So this is a place you can just kind of leave him, let him do this for a while. I would say, just like with the vines, kind of after you get commands, check back on him every now and then, see if he's stuck. If he's spinning like very furiously in place and not ever doing what he did now, which is step up onto that cliff or occasionally go like along the right-hand wall, you might want to get him to jump off once and then start this process over again. Just kind of shake him up a little bit. But overall, pretty nice to just let him kind of chill here. You can go off, eat some lunch, whatever it is you want to do. This is another location that I would give multiple hours if you have it. And see if you get lucky. Hopefully by now, you've gotten some poops. But from what we understand, it could just be that at the beginning of a run, that Rand 100 value rolled such that poop isn't really in the cards for you, and it sucks. But we can still do the best we can to try to increase our odds. And you will probably be happy to know that this still isn't the last hotspot. So, stay here for as long as you deem appropriate, and then continue to head forward. Alright, next up on our Call of Nature poop locations, we have finished Cage Puzzle. The other Trico has left, trying to get my Trico to not pay attention to her, and get him up through this hole. We fed him the barrel, we went down the elevator, that whole deal. And now when he comes up into this hallway up here, we have a brief chance where he might poop. I don't typically get poops here. I know that people have. So once he's up, we can jump backwards off of him and kind of hang out by the place where he came up here. Keep an eye on him, obviously. And just run around a little bit back and forth in here. Of course, he knocked me over. There's not very much space, so usually he just kind of sticks to you like this. And also, don't forget to give him the barrel that is up on this cliff, because going to get it can give you some time to be away from him like this. So it's all the way up. It's up there in the corner, you see. And then hopefully by the time that you come back, he might be engaged in some poop behaviors. If not, it's not really worth continuing to grind out this place. Just kind of a, as you pass by, you might as well give it a try kind of thing. Alright, here we are at the final portion of the game. This is the White Tower. And we are going to work on the last couple ideal poop locations. Lots and lots of people get poop at the White Tower. And there are multiple places to try here. So don't lose hope if you haven't gotten it yet. Here, we've just finished the fight. You can hear the music resolve. Trico's calm now. Best way to start... If you run to each side, you'll see this little nook here. So we're just going to run back and forth along the front of the White Tower, standing in each of those nooks. Don't call Trico, because we want him to kind of take his time. And it's around the stairs on each side. And we want to be out of his view once we get into this nook, but just remember to continue to face backwards. You don't want to look at him through the wall, right? You want to be pointed away from him in order to increase his chances of pooping. And usually... just like this, he's going to follow you around and around. But hopefully, during one of these journeys, he will stop right about here to poop. So that's option number one, and you, as with anything else, can continue to do this for as long as you deem appropriate. I have never gotten poop in this manner, but lots of people have. I find occasionally it can be helpful when you're doing this method, and this has worked for me, to just take a singular run around the White Tower and then go back to doing that method. I'm not going to make you sit here while I run all the way around the White Tower and then just continue to do what I was just doing. So, you know, feel free to give that a try for as long as you like. Here's the plinth at the back. Trico's still following. And this entire time, we're not calling Trico. He can just do his own thing. So we're going to open this up. And in order to understand the best way to do this, you need to understand checkpoints. As soon as we walk, bam, right into this blue room, that was a checkpoint. So you'll see, if we reset the checkpoint, we're gonna be right outside this blue hallway. So, there is another checkpoint inside this tower. They're really, really close to each other, which is pretty unusual. So what you want to do is acknowledge that there is a checkpoint as soon as you step into this elevator room. Don't step into there. Just keep running in a circle. We'll keep track of Trico. I don't know where he is. Sometimes he wanders outside. Sometimes he's like directly behind you. And you're like, bro, how did you get there? But just keep going around in this circle. We'll see if we can actually catch Trico. There he is. Or there he was for a second. Hi, buddy. It's okay if you run into him from time to time. Just make sure that you're kind of giving him time to be off by himself in here. It's all right once you feel like you're on the opposite side to kind of stop for a second, let him catch you in whatever way you want. Just spend time going around in this circle. And if you see poops, remember, because this especially is important for this area with so many checkpoints in quick succession, if you see poop, stop. Like, it's okay if you didn't get the trophy, just stop and reset immediately, because the poop is tied to that checkpoint. And as long as you don't trigger a new checkpoint, you can just keep trying to get poop there, and eventually, like, it will happen again. I find it useful every now and then to walk outside, go around the plinth, and then come back in. That helps Trico to walk down this hallway a little bit, which can get him kind of out of his funk of walking round and round in here. During my most recent Platinum run, which was part of the Platfecta for all 3 Team Eco games, this was the location that I got poop using this method. So yeah, run around in this hallway, see what Trico wants to do. If you're willing to spend the time, go outside to the plinth. During that Platinum run, I had also run a decent way down the side of the White Tower here, and then turned around. Just basically trying to get Trico to come out of the building, and then come back in and follow me around the circle. So I would call this a decently favorable location. You know, just do this kind of thing for a while. If it really seems like it's not working, then your next step is simply to step on this checkpoint, which is this room. Go back out and keep doing what you were doing. Now you're in a new checkpoint. I see my captions aren't working. Now you're in a new checkpoint. So you kind of have a new chance to get poops again. If it wasn't working previously, maybe this checkpoint can be a little bit more favorable. And you just keep running around like this. Hopefully Trico will poop for you somewhere down along here. And like I said, if you don't see him doing it, just reload the checkpoint and keep doing whatever it was that you were doing, but with kind of an eye toward being a little closer to him so you catch him. And hopefully that'll work for you. But if it doesn't, we've still got a little bit more time, because the top of the White Tower is a really ideal location as far as getting poops. So if you haven't gotten it yet, you still got some time. Alright, we are here for the final opportunity for poop for Call of Nature. It's pretty easy to see. We are on top of this rotating fan. The master is down here, and Trico is going to be up above us in just a second. He is currently underneath the fan, and we need to give him an opportunity to come out. So it's important to note that as soon as you leave the upper fan area, which is the place that we're going to be running around in just a second, there will be a checkpoint, and that checkpoint is not favorable to you. So you need to not trigger it, because you'll lose your chance for poop. You'll see what happens here in a second. So as soon as Trico is out, we want to start heading up here. Ideally, right about now, he should be thinking about maybe pooping. Just keep your eye on him here. You don't necessarily need to follow him. Just keep your eye on him, and we'll see what he's up to. He's eventually going to start heading toward the checkpoint. There he goes. And then he will wait for you there. Once he starts that run, you know that he's not going to poop, because now he's doing his scripted thing, which is getting to where the checkpoint is going to be. And you really just have this one chance, because I'm actually going to... Okay, it didn't even let me step away. That's why that checkpoint is not favorable to you. As soon as you trigger it, when you restart, you're just going to be here. And Trico doesn't have a chance to poop after this point. So that's just the end of the game. So keep an eye on Trico. I'm going to not trigger this so we have a second. Keep an eye on Trico. If you can do so from down closer to the fan, do it. Otherwise, just understand that you need to just not let this opportunity go to waste. Trico poops a lot at the top of this White Tower, and in fact, I'll show you, he poops so often up here that they have it scripted into this scene. You'll be able to see it at the top of the White Tower. So unfortunately, it's not really possible to just kind of grind this out, but it's worth noting that you should be really vigilant here in order to make sure that if he poops, you don't miss it. You'll see here in just a second. But I hope that you got poop by this point. It's such a weird sentence, right? If you didn't, if you're still looking for Call of Nature after all this time, I'm sorry. I wish that I could help more. It really is just a matter of start a new game, play through again, do these things. Give barrels, because it slows Trico down. It gives him more opportunities to, you know, switch his attention. And I hope that you get it soon. It's really not a good trophy. But we think that because of that Rand 100 modifier thing that is in the code, you could just have, you know, when you hit new game, you could just have a new game state that just doesn't randomize for poop to be possible. We're not really sure how that works. So, good luck. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll do my best to help, you know? And if you get poop somewhere that is not in any of the locations that I've pointed out in this video, please let me know. I am constantly keeping a updated compendium, if you will, of all of the places where we know for sure that Trico has pooped. In the meantime, I hope you don't have to do this run again, but if you do, good luck. I really hope that you get poop. And check out any of my other guides if you need help with any of the other trophies.